scenario where really far ahead, and also put Chovy on something with a little more agency. Yes, the Syndra is a strong champion in a vacuum, but one of the reasons why we love Chovy and why he's so incredibly considered so talented, and also what was the reason why they won against against Gen.G last time, was Chovy needs a champion where individual skill expression and like raw skirmishing mechanical power can actually be utilized. And Syndra has a lot of strengths, but she doesn't bring that, right? And it just doesn't fit very well with how Hanwha Life traditionally plays. It doesn't fit well with the strength of their players. In this case, Chovy in particular, as we do see.
This is very good. Yeah. This is the adaptation that we wanted. I want to see more of these style of bans from Hanwha Life Esports. Just try and stop Gen.G from being ultimately comfortable, and I think stopping BDD from being comfortable is one of the most important things, because we know that this matchup gets into his head. Him against Chovy, that is a huge avenue for Hanwha Life to attack, and they just let it go in game number one. They didn't challenge it whatsoever, and I think that the mind games are very important. In a series like this, as Lilia is going to be banned away, understandably, but on the blue side, which is odd, showing that Gen.G do have a different plan when it comes to first picks.
I would have liked for them to leave it open, because in that scenario, right, Hanwha Life might have to choose between banning away the Seraphine or the... although I guess Gen.G, knowing Gen.G will ban Seraphine here, because they have been doing that consistently. Maybe they assume that Hanwha Life would just let it go through draft. Gen.G in particular doesn't place a lot of importance on it, so I would actually like to see Hanwha Life not ban it here, because I don't think Gen.G is going to first pick it. And that is the case here. The Hecarim will be banned. I don't necessarily think the Hecarim was the problem there. I think it was more just a general gap in terms of what the jungle performance provided. The one good thing here for Hanwha Life is that they are on red side. Counter pick should be easier to... Oh, please don't do it.
No.
We don't want to see that. No one wants to see that. Don't do it. I was going to say, what I really appreciate is that there is a strong pick, but it requires priority. Hanwha Life has the opportunity to go for good counter picks. I thought we left this one at 11.3, guys.
Well, not Johan. Johan actually played it in their last series as well. I mean, it wasn't, an outstanding performance, but they did win. That was the Lilia mid game, but maybe it wasn't due to the Olaf. I don't think that he really enabled the win or anything like that. Does pair relatively well with the Rel, but still.
Atlas.
Yeah, mate.
It's Olaf top. Or Olaf mid for Chovy.
Oh, that would be the dream. I'd be okay with that.
And then I would be okay with it. Otherwise, the Olaf can still find early prio, right? You have a really, really strong clear. You can decently duel, though the Udyr is a little bit reliant on you being able to get help from your side laners. So, again, in the context of a red side where you pick up an AD carry for Deft next, and then you're looking towards finding counter picks, right? Yes, thank you very much. So this is what I want to see, and then you use your counter picks, or try to get a counter pick, particularly for Morgan here, so that you can play around the strong prio that you'll be able to get. You can even flex this Tristana, right? Because Chovy definitely play it. It might fit nicely into what BDD wants to play here if he goes for something that is a bit susceptible, as that's a good ban. I like the Yone ban, even though Yone Olaf not necessarily the greatest in terms of damage profile.
No, but this was assuming Olaf top.
Oh yeah, of course.
Know what I'm saying?
Thank you. Thank you. You got my back.
Yeah, really appreciate that. This was your idea. I'm just rallying.
It's teamwork.
Well, Orianna is a champion that I would have liked Hanwha Life Esports to pick, because that makes Olaf more of a champion.
But it's Chovy, so
it
it's
is.
okay.
It is. So maybe we just get R4 Akali, and we say that we don't really need CC in our 2v2 at all.
Oh, I mean that. Honestly, that's how you won last time. Maybe that is the line.
Ooh, this is interesting. The Silas ban means that Gen.G might be putting BDD on Seraphine this game.
I think
what it feels like, anyway.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that. Seraphine has traditionally not been picked up by Gen.G.
Looks like it's going to continue to be that.
Yeah. That's such a strong pick, right? We give Gen.G a lot of leeway because of how they played earlier on. With very aggressively minded drafts. However, that's not the case here. And we will be seeing the mid lane pick, counter pick, presumably, because this can still be Chovy playing the Tristana mid, right? You can actually all in the Syndra, you can find a way around the scatter. Your all in is absolutely disgusting, especially when combined with an Olaf. A Camille picked up here from Rascal, considering the first game. Quite a big fan of it.
Why do I feel like this is going to be Victor?
It could be. I wouldn't mind a Victor, honestly. I think Victor's really, really nice in this situation. Like, it works well. Camille can't really play as much as she'd like. You outrange basically everyone on the side of Gen.G. Gravity Field is a nightmare to deal with for the Udyr and
Shen. Okay,
we're gonna need to figure this one out. So I think it's Cyan mid, Shen top.
Yeah, and it's also only at attack damage. We don't have
but that's
ability power.
Listen,
we just don't want that. It's not what it's about.
Is it? I thought maybe they were actually gonna go for lane Olaf and then it would be Shen jungle.
River Shen.
I mean, Shen jungle was really good for a while there, especially.
Yeah, SOFM made it look good.
Okay, so what do we have here? I'm not particularly sure, to be completely honest. I think that Chovy's going to do really well in this matchup. And you mentioned the full AD profile. Normally that's a bit of a problem. Clit might be annoying, but the rest of Gen.G are maybe going to buy steel caps, right, in case of Camille. And that's pretty much it. Like, this is not where you're playing against the Cyan, a problem that we've had before, where you're playing into these really big, beefy tanks that become unkillable. Alistair, if he has his ultimate, he won't die no matter what. And if he doesn't have his ultimate, you're going to be able to get through him no matter what, right? So I think in this scenario, it's not... On the other hand, your only real damage source is Deft.
Yes. No, it's not the only real damage source.
You
it's
have
the only
Olaf.
damage source.
Well, you have Olaf.
Olaf
in the early game.
Okay, in the early game, you're right. Johan is going to be their only source of damage because Tristana doesn't really do damage in the early game. So we're going to be relying on the Olaf early to get anything. I hate this comp, dude. I really just don't like it very much. Oh, man. It is look, it's interesting. I like the global ability of the Shen, but do they have enough lane priority to stop this Udyr from getting off the ground? That's the question. That's the question we always ask when it comes to Udyr. And maybe, just maybe, in their solo lanes, they will be able to get that done. You assume that BDD is going to have to shove in mid, and Klid should be able to use that to play around.
Could you not have like gone for Talia or something, right? Like some a Karthus. Like Karthus you can't get away with because you want a prio, but honestly,
dude, Nidalee,
yeah, but
Talia,
yeah. I mean, a lot of other good ones are banned out.
Brand, right? Rumble. I feel
like you've
psyched about any of those. Would prefer them over the Olaf.
You went from. Like legitimate options to...
Dude, have you played Brand Jungle?
Rumble in the jungle. Morgana jungle was actually played by Broxa.
Yeah, there we
go. In the LCS. Maybe that was the angle here. You get 2 shields for Deft so he can do more damage, because otherwise he's going to die. Honestly, I hope Hanwha Life doesn't fall behind, because you won't have damage whatsoever. You go for an early evade, and your level 1 is really strong. So I like this. This is good.
Yeah, they are going to be able to get in here. They should be able to take down the chickens and move over to the red buff as well, which looks to be the option here, as Chovy's going to take a bit of a beating in the mid lane, but should be pretty immovable, as we would assume.
Oh, this is cute. So Chovy went for the Soul Furnace first, and is like using the shield aggressively to clear waves. Just go in here.
Yep, there's the Pulverize to answer the crash down, as we assume. But, of course, level 1, and, in fact, a lot of the very early levels, Tristana Rel should be all over this lane.
Yeah. Especially, level 1 Alistair. Ugh.
Yeah, it's not exactly the greatest. As we can see, Life taking a lot of free damage here.
Okay.
He's going to pop down to about 100. So, yeah, if the cow moves forward, a flash out from Ruler, actually, as Vista's going to take a bit of return damage.
Okay, now I get the Hanwha live draft. Deft just gets fed. And then
Got it.
Sorry, I didn't see that. I should have seen that earlier.
Yeah,
that's what happens. Deft gets fed, and then you have damage. And you
do you know what's going to happen? Hanwha Life's going to win with this draft. That's the storyline that has to happen.
That's the sad LCK takeaway that we don't want to happen.
Yeah, we're gonna send the message that a single damage profile with Olaf jungle is how you win League of Legends. That's what's gonna happen. Chronically, I don't know how I feel about it, but look, there are things that Hanwha Life did get right. in the draft. We have to remember that, you know, being able to get some extra priority around the map, being able to, you know, take away a fair bit of Udyr's jungle in the early game. Like, this is actually something that Johan did, I believe, last time he picked the Olaf. It was into the Udyr once again, as Morgan is going to get a teleport from his friend, as Chovy's going to turn up. Both him and BDD do join in on the top side, as Life looking to try and escape this one. Here's the attract repel, as now Life desperately trying to find his way out, gets tagged by the undertow, and that is going to mean Flash has to be burned. No flashes remain on the bottom side of the map for Gen.G.
So a really big problem because the all-in power of Devs and Vista is considerable. The one upside of this is that Clid basically has been able to just freely farm, right? Like they've been all up in each other's jungle. It's been kind of a vertical jungling situation here, and we haven't really talked about the Shen pick yet. I think the Shen pick does one thing really well, which is kind of mitigate the power of Udyr. Udyr is basically an auto-attack bot, right? And Shen doesn't allow you to auto-attack. That's nice. Similar for Camille, you're really going to be looking for those empowered autos, and Morgan can actually mitigate a lot of damage here. So in that regard, you know, it is quite nice. You can actually enable death. And of course, the power of Shen will always be that you can create man advantage situations seemingly out of nowhere.
This is actually the most nimble Scion ever, as it turns out. Right? As BDD showing us with the Blitzcrank question mark. It's like, what? Why can't I hit one of the largest champions in the game? Not entirely sure. And also Chovy's doing that thing that he does.
He's winning.
Where he wins in a like tank versus mage matchup in the mid lane. As Life's gonna hex flash forward. Glid's here as Vista's going to get booped back. Does have to flash as Life taking a lot of return damage. He'll explode as well, but Vista is going to be going down first. First blood going over to Ruler, and if you're a Hanwha Esports fan, that is bad news, Bears.
No, Def needed to get fat. Well, I don't. What's happening here? That's not good.
It's called double Dolan, my dude.
That's a problem. As you so rightly pointed out, Ruler getting fed is a really good way for you to have a really big problem as Hanwha Life. Because I think you really rely on Deft being able to like jump in, 100 to 0 someone, and then have like a Rel attract and repel, and shield coming out from the Shen, you know, to stand united. Like, that's kind of what you need. If you start falling behind and Ruler can actually make a big mark on this lane, Deft is kind of subdued. He hits that awkward point with Tristana where like you don't really have your crit items yet, right? And like you weren't able to accelerate, so you can't really go for aggressive plays that you kind of want to go for because of your resets. And then you're just kind of there. It's not a good place to be.
No. Well, we do have Stand United, so Morgan can get towards this Drake fight if there is one. Looks like there isn't. As you've mentioned this many, many times, of course, you pick Olaf so you can get Drake priority, and that is precisely what they are going to use him for. Spirit's Refuge coming down here for Morgan. Wanted to try and time out the true damage. Quite able to win out on the trade, however, as Camille is still just Camille, and she's winning by about 10 here towards the top side.
Yeah, this was a counter pick, and it feels like Rascal is winning the early lane, which if you're Camille and you're winning the early lane, that's you know, good for the Camille, not good for the person she's playing against. And Morgan already losing control of this lane is actually a really big problem, because if he's not able to match a Camille in the side lane later on, then if Shen can't like hold off an opponent, then you're in for really big trouble. And Camille skills so absurdly well that I quite like the priority here as Chovy.
Yeah, it's going to be discovered by Clid. He's going to get the train out. And he will move away. Johan coming on down as Rocket Jump is baited out there by Life. Nicely done. That'll be back up again relatively quickly. As you can see, Ruler is going to get Cannon back and take a bit more damage here from the explosive charge. As gameplay pressed onto Chovy, but they do get his flash.
A lot of action left and right here. Rascal going in. Really nice trade there with the hookshot and the grass proc. And getting the flash for Sign, it's okay, but especially against Spellbook Sign, it's not the greatest. Raiding in the minion wave in, not amazing. Morgan able to get the better hand of that one, whereas on the other side we saw Ruler getting bullied a little bit. Deft able to get a one-wave advantage, which is cute, but Ruler is a kill, so in terms of gold, you're not actually ahead, you're like slightly catching up. The Cole will help though, because as mentioned previously, like one of the issues that you have is just how slow you are. Is that's an enthusiastic teleport.
Is indeed. As Morgan going to set up the refuge and walk away. Don't mind it. As we're going to check in on some of the gold here. Chovy's ahead somehow.
Oh, and now... Okay, so now as Morgan, you can't walk up to the wave. You know that Clit is top side, so like you need to respect the Udyr to its utmost potential, but the lane is pushing away from you, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if Rascal broke the freeze, but like, you just keep the lane in that spot. Chovy, you have no mana.
Yeah, and Clit's going to boop him. Johan's going to make his way in, as is Vista. They do have the Attract Repel. Looking to try and stun Clit if they can. They do get the stun onto Johan, who's going to take a lot of damage, thankfully for him. Oh, you have Ragnarok, dude. Sometimes things happen, you know, as BDD is going to get a decent chunk there onto death. Apologize. It was just, didn't really matter or mean anything.
Oh no, not at all, but it just looked so funny.
It did.
And if you didn't get, like, it's similar to, you know, rocket jumping defensively. It's just never a good sign when you need to Ragnarok defensively. It never feels good. You're always in a position where you want to move forward, you want to play aggressively. Instead, you lose the Rift Herald. And this is starting to feel like a similar situation. The one upside is as Hanwha Live, you have more tanks. More tanks is more good later in the game, where hopefully Deft can, like, try and carry it single-handedly. Honestly, maybe this was the game for Chovy where you go lethality Cyan. Like maybe that was the angle. You know, like I think you can have, I don't know how many cam tanks are gonna go for, possibly 3 here, but like you have a bunch of cam tank dudes that are gonna try and get on top of the Kalista with considerable amount, like Scatter the Weak is a horrible skill to play into. You have an Alistair that can peel decently well. And all you need to do is just create space for Deft to auto-attack, which I don't know. At least the laning is going well.
Well, we got a train. That's going to pick up a flash. Johan going to turn up. Vista's here as well. And we're just going to crash this wave into the turret. BDD is going to be okay for the moment, as finally Morgan is doing better in this lane. Just the trade pattern working out. Yeah, man.
You're seeing what Drake we're getting next?
Oh no.
You know what that can mean, right?
Yeah, I do.
We can go for the 4 out of 4. Can you do it?
Well, look, if anyone can do it, I have faith in myself. When it comes to Cloud Souls, there's only one man for the job. I've been tested before, and I've succeeded.
Every time.
Yeah, prefer not to talk about it. Oh no. Deft only with 28 more stacks left on this cull before that one is going to cash in. And of course, he needs as much money as possible. Shoving yet another wave forward, hasn't taken down any plates though. Same can be said on Gen.G's side, but they're happy to just play this one slowly but surely.
The one upside you have here as Hanwha Live is that Gen.G is indeed opting again into a bit of a slower game. Especially if this is not a mountain Drake, you're really happy as Gen.G, right? Like, you give it the first couple of Drakes, but it's fine. You're able to stay pretty even in every lane. You're even winning in topside, which was, with Morgan going for the counter pick, the Shen has thus far not paid off. And this is starting to feel like more and more risk-taking here from Hanwha Live. Morgan needs respect.
Yep, Spirit's Refuge now on cooldown as he's put into the Hextech Ultimatum. He does have Flash available, but he's just going to taunt his way out to begin with. There's the flash finally, and Rascal is going to follow as he gets back underneath the turret, and they'll trade 1-for-1 as the Drake is being taken down. And of course, I'm here, so it's another Cloud Soul. That is 4-for-4. Sorry.
I'm not mad, Atlas.
Just disappointed.
I'm just disappointed in
Thanks,
you.
Mom.
That is not good.
Yeah.
For Hanwha Live, because Hanwha Live's win condition, I think, here was like, if you are able to get a Mountain Soul with 3 tanks on your team, 3 tanks, right? Like,
yeah,
so much. But they lose the coin flip because Atlas is in the game, and that means that all of a sudden the prospects for Hanwha Live are looking a lot more rough. You're at a gold deficit. Yes, you were able to trade 1-for-1, but in the grand scheme of things, the gold efficient stats you're getting from these Drakes are not really worth it quite as much.
Think about the amount of buster shots they'll be able to get in a team fight. Deft gets to shoot people and run fast.
I mean, like, movement speed is nice because you have Olaf and Cyan and Shen, I guess.
To be honest, Cloud Soul Olaf is actually, like, kind of good.
Well, yeah, but I'm not loving it. Morgan, oh no.
Yep, this is the old back-to-back gank as Morgan is able to show us just the value of the good old Spirit's Refuge. Gets himself his Kai shield, but yeah. Life is going to celebrate that kill on the top side of the map by smashing the ground in the bottom lane. And yeah, this is going to be even more money over to Rascal.
I'm starting to feel like I don't get Gen.G. Where you go from winning, like losing to Live Sandbox with honestly like decently, if I remember correctly, like decently early game, mid game oriented drafts into winning early game with. I mean, this draft is a little bit more early game oriented. As Morgan, oh buddy, no.
That was not the teleport that you were looking for.
Oh, that's Shen that doesn't have the teleport. Of course, you will still have the Stand United, but again, this is a counter pick. This is the second time that Hanwha Live in this series has gone for an unorthodox pick that's not in the meta, and that's okay, right? Like, Chovy won a game on Lilia mid.
Yeah.
But you need to make it work, right? You need to find something, and in this scenario, the Shen pick so far, you've not used it proactively, you've not used it defensively. Yes, he got ganked a couple of times, but even before that, he was just straight up losing the lane. Obviously, this dive, very greedy. I think you can just bully him away there, and then you're more than happy, whereas I don't know what to show, because this is just...
Yeah. It was Morgan moving towards the wall as if he was going to flash, but his flash wasn't cool.
Yeah. Which they knew, because they just dove him, right? Yeah. Like, they were there. And Hanwha Live, like, they keep going for these drafting decisions that seem odd, and you're willing to give them the benefit of the doubt. Like, the Lilia mid pick works out, but that was against a team that was much weaker. And now you're in a scenario where you're trying these weird things. You're trying to draft a triple tankle position with an Olaf that hasn't been popular for a long time, for a reason, I might add, ever since the nerfs. You're drafting a Shen, and Gen.G is just like, well, sure, I guess. Thank you for that. Good luck in esports. Like, I don't know what you're going to do this match, because it's starting to feel like a complete repeat of the last game at least.
It is. There haven't been quite as many egregious errors here from Hanwha Live Esports when it comes to how they've played in like their proactive plays, but the problem is they haven't made them, right? And yes, you avoid making errors, but you also avoid being able to get anything done with a composition that does want to get ahead of the clock.
What if this is the turning point where the curse of Gen.G goes over onto Hanwha Live, where Hanwha Live beat every weaker team but don't win against strong teams anymore, and now Gen.G is finally unleashed? Is that what we're seeing here?
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily know. It feels to me like Hanwha Live Esports have struggled to really get what they wanted to have going in this game. Here's Fate's call. Rocket Jump is going to do its best to stop this one, as Stand United is going to come through. There's the taunt onto Life, who immediately uses his Unbreakable Will and will get out of there with the Blast Cone. Now, theoretically, Vista could be in a bit of trouble, but he's going to attract and repel Deft and then use that to create some space.
Yes. I wonder if they can kill anyone on Hanwha Live. The answer is, it's not very likely. There's plated steel caps coming through for Clid and Life. I wouldn't be surprised if Rascal goes for those as well. So you're in a situation where, again, it's just Deft. That's it, right? Like, Deft is the one who's going to need to try and do damage here, to try and get stuff done. And there you see the glimpse of it, right? Like, the defensive power of the Shen ultimates, it can be very useful, but Gen.G, like, they know the Shen is there. They can play around it easily. Oh, that plate gold, that is not even where the biggest leads come from, right? It's just like a 30 CS lead in the top side, it's a couple of kills.
Yeah.
It's just so rough.
Well, Johan is going to be able to take this Drake by the looks of things, unless we see Gen.G actually wrap around the backside. Johan is just going to have to vacate the area. Fair bit of vision available here as Hanwha Live Esports do move on down. Control Ward comes in. Looks like Johan's trying to get in position now to go for this 50-50. In goes the train. It is going to be the Rend that picks it up, as the Scion will get the knock-up. Attract Repel stun comes through pretty well, as it is Olaf grabbing the kill onto the Udyr. We've traded junglers though. Deft is going to turn up, but hasn't quite got an auto attack down just yet, as he jumps up onto the banks and picks up the kill onto the Kalista. Gets over the wall now, as you could see with the flash. And Hanwha Live Esports do win out in the trades for kills, but Gen.G do stop that Cloud Soul point from occurring.
Not sure if you call it a win or not. As you say, I think the Cloud Soul win condition, even though it's not the greatest of win condition like a Mountain would have been, it is at least something to really hold on to. I think if Deft gets a triple here, the game might actually, you know, be playable for you again as Hanwha Live. The one kill keeps you in it. I think it kind of tilts the amount of damage that you might have available a little bit. but you need to turn this into more kills. Like, Hanwha Life, they need to find more skirmishes, they need to get Deft more ahead, because Deft is literally like all their eggs are in the Deft basket.
Yep.
Not with a, you know, protect the Jinx, like Karma, Lulu kind of situation, but instead, a insanely beefy front line that honestly, like, Rascal can get past it, but that's pretty much it. That should provide enough space for Deft, but then you do actually need to be here, and here we see the problem initially. The Rent able to pick up the Drake there. There's just not a lot of damage here, right? Like, you just don't really get through these health bars. Olaf eventually makes it work, but you're playing against actual damage dealers. Chovy can tank a lot, but tanking a lot doesn't really provide you with anything, and that's why once Deft gets here, these skirmishes look completely different, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's what you're waiting for, that's what you're looking for, and if Deft is there from the beginning, that might look entirely different.
Death's rocket jump was a bit interesting there as well because he immediately flashed back over the wall, so possibly could have used that for a bit more execution power onto Ruler, but nitpicking, hindsight 2020, as Chovy just going to clear out this mid lane. We've got Shirley taking a bit of damage here, as we do have a lot of convergence on the top side of the map. 3,000 gold, the lead for Gen.G. Morgan trying to hold on to this minion wave on the bottom side of the map. The Rascal is relentlessly shoving.
Okay,
they will start this one up. Clid lying in wait. As Life gets over the wall, they do have a lot of control wards here. Is now Deft, rocket jumping forward, looking for Ruler as the train comes through. Fate's Call is going to get Cow out to safety. Ruler, though, taking a lot of damage as he bounces around the fight. Life down relatively low. Ragnarok, and running away is the Olaf. The Shen has to get out of there as Chovy as well, taking a lot of damage. Hextech ultimatum into the backline. The stopwatch buys a lot of time for Rascal, and Deft can't get that last auto attack. And all of these Hanwha Life health bars are going down so low. Deft against the world, and unfortunately he's not going to win that fight. And this is just huge for Gen.G. That'll be the ace for nothing right in front of the Baron pit.
that's the life of a reset champion. If you can't get any resets, Atlas, Gen.G take a commanding victory here. No one dies on this side. The health bars get so low, and Hanwha Life, you try so hard to make that initial play work, but the moment Life gets pulled away, right, with the Fate's Call, you're like, guys, abort. Like, we can't keep going in. But instead, they dive the turret. They go in super aggressively against a team that is more than ready to handshake there, and that should be the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And unbelievable, because look at this. If you connect the stun, sure. If you can connect the taunt, if you can connect the knock-up, any of those, it's fine. But now you go in so incredibly aggressive, you go in really, really deep, and you just don't have the available damage in a situation like that, right? It's not a really straight front-to-back team fight, and again, look at the stalling potential here. Attraction Repel doesn't hit, and all Deft wants is a kill. But he's the only one dealing damage on this team. We've gone into this again and again and again. And if you don't have damage, if no one else can get like that final last hit, and you're just sitting there as a Tristana auto-attacking on your one-item spike, nothing happens.
Yeah. Just not going to work out, and then unfortunately for Hanwha Life, it was right at 20 minutes. And now we have Baron buff for another 2 minutes here on Gen.G, and they've already racked up about a 1,300 gold advantage. Hanwha Life Esports lying in wait, looking for some potential gank play onto Gen.G here. It feels like desperation, though. Chronicler has cleared. Gets around the side, of course, Buster Shot, pretty powerful. And Clid's going to take a lot of damage here as Deft is just chasing him down. But he's not going to be there for this fight that is starting to erupt in the mid lane. Life chasing after, as we've got the flash on forward with Stands United here as Johan trying to go aggressive. Deft finally gets back to the fight, but he's taking so much damage here as BDD zoned him out completely. Morgan's just going to die. Johan's trying to run away, and Clid gives him the thumbs up as he exits. And the rest of Gen.G are going to push towards this outer turret. Bit of a battle there as Clid just says goodbye to the Viking. And Hanwha Life Esports, they are just going to back away from this outer turret. Not enough minions. But Rascal, in the meantime, was on the bottom side of the map. That was actually a 4v5 the entire time, I believe. Unless Rascal only recently went over there.
I'm just... I don't know, Atlas. Like, I'm shocked at what we're seeing in Hanwha Life with just an appalling series here. Everything going wrong. The skirmish is not working out. The draft's looking wonky, right? Like, the playmaking potential isn't there. And on the flip side, Gen.G says, wait, like, what are you guys doing? And capitalize on it in an incredible fashion.
Yeah, this was just...
This was supposed to be the series!
This was Gen.G winning until they were winning more, and then they were winning. Is basically what that goal graph says. You can see multiple skirmishes going their way. They focus topside to get Rascal a lead once again, and he becomes that split push monster. And the Shen was picked as sort of an answer to it, but an answer basically to the composition, I guess, is what they were thinking. But it didn't work in lane, and they have fallen way too far behind. And sometimes you just draft it for your opponents ridiculously hard, and that's exactly what Gen.G have done. Well, it feels like 2 games in a row now. But Clear, he runs pretty fast, as you can see right there. Got his Dead Man's Plate now completed. Having a happy time here on the Udyr.
I mean, if you find an angle here, I'd be amazed. This is a almost 11k gold lead.
Yeah.
That is like that's always insane, right? Like that's no matter what. As
a little rocket jump over the wall there is nice. Gets Deft to safety. Is now Vista looking for the flank. There's the Fate's Call. As Gen.G look to try and turn it around. Devastating smash. Trying to do some work here for Chovy, who's now peeling. The Deft as the Rel just dies. Morgan makes his way through, but you can see Rascal is actually behind him. Deft gets through the base gate. His life may fall down, and he does. Chovy will grab that kill, and the Buster Shot will get rid of Rascal, who now doesn't have hook shot for the rest of this fight. Hextech Ultimatum comes in, but he has a GA already built up. He's going to buy a bit of time. Hookshot's back over that wall as Clid is going to pick up what looked like a solo kill there. Of course it is. On to Johan. And Gen.G are going to continue pushing forward. Rascal just bought so much time. Another minion wave comes in. They are going to be able to take down this inhibitor turret. The inhibitor should follow as Rascal. He's done some work here on the top side, and oh my goodness, they can't stop this Camille.
I have no words for this game, Atlas. This is one of the most one-sided games we've seen in a long time, and it's between the number 2 and the number 3.
Yeah.
This was a match that I was personally looking incredibly, forward to. I thought it was going to be. We remember the highlights from last time, but here you see, even if you do find a flank, even if you do find an engage, which in this case is kind of the case, you engage on top of the front line. Deft just doesn't actually get through anything. The only person he's allowed to hit is live. The rest of his team doesn't have any damage available. And even if they have damage available, let's be honest here, like at this point you're so fed as Gen.G that the chances of you actually getting stuff done as Hanwha Live are minuscule no matter what. That Rascal gets out hit, that Klitz finds a solo kill, like those things are all just insult after injury, and Hanwha Live, they need to seriously reconsider what went wrong here today, because this is just feeling like such a flippy performance compared to, and the only time that I remember them looking like this was against Liv Sandbox, right? And they need to identify where is this coming from, because it's such a big change from how they usually play as well as they go in.
Yeah, big knock up there as Vista's going to take a lot of damage. Magnet Storm does get a fair bit of value here as Deft rocket jumping aggressively. Rascal unable to quite find the Tristana here as life goes golden. Buys a lot of time. It's already a double kill for Ruler though. Will this team give him the Penta is the question. The answer is absolutely not, as they are going to secure the ace, and at 27 minutes, Gen.G will take down these Nexus turrets. It's over by about 2 minutes, but I'm still going to call this one a shellacking, as Gen.G, from the draft to the gameplay, incredibly stable. They kept their heads on their shoulders, played it out, but Hanwha Live honestly disintegrated right before Gen.G's hands.